Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on PoliWine, where we like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from the media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. Thank you so much for your patience. We had a little break on the podcast, but we are back in the swing of things, and let's get into it. So, Tom Girardi, yes, the ex of Erica Jane, disgraced attorney. Well, he was just sentenced. He was convicted in August, and now he has been sentenced at the age of 86. He will now serve 7 years and 3 months in jail and is ordered to pay restitution. So, wow. What a fall from grace. I mean, seriously, he was the hero attorney in the Aaron Brockovich movie. Didn't want to let go of the luxury lifestyle, and it took you down. So, Erica, you distanced yourself from him as quickly as you can, but man, and let me just say, his Alzheimer or dementia diagnosis from whatever doctor he had, that did not work out so well because the judge felt he was competent enough to stand in court, and he did, and is sentenced. So there we go. Another one. Now, speaking of other stories where it gets a little bit tangled in the law, Mary Lou Retton, yes, America's pint-sized hero from the 80s on the Wheaties box, our gold medal winner. Mary Lou Retton was arrested for a DUI in West Virginia. Now, Mary Lou has been in the news in the last few years. A couple years ago, she had a rare form of pneumonia. I believe it was her daughter actually reached out on social media asking for help. She started a donation page for medical bills. Like, medical bills are expensive. They needed help. You don't get that sponsorship money forever. So they needed help with these medical bills. Well, people wanted to help America's sweetheart. So they did. They helped her with this donation page. She was able to help with the medical bills. Well, poor Mary Lou in the news again. Yes, DUI. Mary Lou, you are America's sweetheart. You are definitely West Virginia's sweetheart. So whatever happens in this situation, I hope you get back on your feet and you are feeling better because, once America's sweetheart, always America's sweetheart. And we feel for you. You've gone through a lot, and we feel for you. So we hope you can get back up on your feet, and we'll be cheering you on along the way. Now, let's get into some of our high-profile court cases. Well, the Diddy case is still going on, and man, the testimony has been tough to hear. It has been very difficult to hear. We have had a lineup of witnesses ranging from ex-employees, former sex workers that were in the freak-offs. We've had former relationships, people in his sphere, not painting a pretty picture. Of course, we had Cassie on the stand a few weeks ago, and congratulations to Cassie. She just gave birth to her third child. Congratulations to her and her family. But very shortly after, she stepped off the stand from her testimony. So good thing she was able to speak when she did. But I was still very concerned that she was able to give testimony being that far along. And boy, shortly after she walked off that stand, she gave birth to that child. So I hope that didn't rush things along in the due date, because it had to be very distressful. But she stood her ground. She was strong. She took the stand, and she's moving on in her life. And congratulations to you and your family. But that was difficult testimony, hard testimony, and it just keeps coming. These witnesses are definitely painting the picture of a man who was definitely violent and almost monster-like. And Diddy has come out in the past and said that his actions in that video with Cassie were inexcusable. But this case isn't about domestic abuse. So let's see where this goes. Of course, Diddy has declared his innocence and innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. The defense hasn't even started their case yet. They haven't started their line of witnesses. So let's see where that goes. But some of these questions from the defense side can seem a little harsh. They need to go there. They have to ask those difficult questions. But it is sometimes hard to hear. And if I might say, I said it the other week, when you hear some of the testimonies that is coming out in the transcript, a lot of the news organizations are using AI generated voices to, for this testimony. And it's not easy. It's weird to listen to. It's kind of weird to hear these voices on the other side reading this testimony, these computer generated voices. I said it's odd. I didn't like it. But I was watching a quick clip, and I want to say, I think it was like on Hulu. There was a series where they were actually having actors reenact court scenes from the transcripts, from this testimony. And I have to say, that's much worse. So although I did not like the AI generated voices reading the testimony from these transcripts, still better than the reenactments. So I don't know, pick your poison, but maybe it's the AI generated voices. The acting. Oh, reenactments aren't known for their captivating acting, but wow, that was tough. That was tough to watch. So, you know what? Maybe the AI voices are not so bad after all. So give it a chance. But the Diddy trial, let's see where it goes. There's still weeks left in the trial. So who is the defense going to call up for their witnesses? Who are they going to put on the stand? It shall be interesting. But the testimony so far has been difficult to hear. What is it going to be on the other side? Let's wait and see. And we will. Now, let's move over to the other high-profile case. That's the Karen Read trial, right? So, still going on in Massachusetts. Now, it's the defense side. They have their witnesses on the stand. We have had forensic experts. We've had the snowplow driver. We've had reenactment experts. And this is a fascinating case because the theory that the defense is putting out there that it wasn't the incident of, the state of Massachusetts is alleging that Karen Read backed into her boyfriend and left him there in the cold to die in this front yard. That is the allegations. Of course, she's denied it, has declared herself not guilty, denied these allegations. She already had a trial that was ended in a mistrial. Well, this is a retrial, and I got to tell you, if there was reasonable doubt the first time, I still don't see you can't have some form of reasonable doubt on this one. I feel like there have been a lot of holes poked in this case. And a lot of the theories of the state side that she left this man in the cold to die. These are the allegations. I think there's just enough holes that the defense has poked in and be like, well, I can't say with 100% certainty that I believe with this evidence that this is exactly how this man died. I just don't see how you can say that. The defense has presented other theories. Were these injuries on his arm? Could that have been a fight? Or what about this dog? This dog that was in the house that had a bite history in the past, right? Could it have been this dog? It looks like puncture wounds, maybe scratches. Could it have been a dog bite? Could it have been something else? But we don't believe that these injuries match up with a car backing into him at like 20 miles an hour or 25 miles an hour. It's not going to happen. They also were showing friends at the bar with Karen Read and her boyfriend at the time and saying that they were loving and it was a beautiful moment and it was sweet and he was kissing her on the head and they were affectionate. We've all heard the voice messages that she left her boyfriend when she couldn't find him. They were erratic. They were just intense. she's sounding crazed and manic and just belligerent. All of those things. Sure. Sure, she was upset. She was pissed. She didn't know where he was. And then you could hear the panic. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? That doesn't seem like somebody who intentionally knew, to me, in my opinion, that they knew where they were and they were hit, unless she is that much of a diabolical mastermind. I just don't see how that reaction is somebody who knows where or what happened to your loved one. Her reaction just doesn't seem that way to me. But, they definitely seem like they had a toxic, volatile relationship that was probably on the edge, that they were probably hanging on to something that maybe they shouldn't have been hanging on to. They were clinging on to a relationship that there wasn't much left to. That happens. But I just don't see, in my opinion, I just don't see with 100% certainty. I just think that there are just too many holes to present reasonable doubt. And I got to give it to her team. Her defense team, fantastic. And because there was a little bit of hiccup, a little bit of information was dropped a little too soon, the defense asked the courts to declare a mistrial. It was denied, but they trialed. What if it ends in a mistrial, innocent? However this may end, guilty, not guilty, mistrial. Legal students are going to be studying this case because it is a trial of the century because of the mistrial, of it being a retrial. So, you're going to have legal students and legal minds studying this. Where did we get wrong? How can we improve this? They're going to use this case as an example. Sure, absolutely. But she has so much support outside of the courtroom. And I'm not just talking about on social media and in the crime, world, in podcasts and stuff like that. She definitely has that support as well. But she has the support of the locals because, and, Boston's police history is a little shady. And we've seen it in some of the movies, like The Departed, great movie. There was a great show. I think it was on Showtime couple years ago. That was with Kevin Bacon. Great show. It was called, not King of the Hill, Something on the Hill. Something on the Hill. With Kevin Bacon, and it was kind of set in the 90s where the Boston police were corrupt. Great show. I mean, Kevin Bacon can do anything, right? But that kind of talks about the shady past of the Boston police force. So there's a history. So when you have locals in the Boston city area going, this city's a mess, and this is what people are chanting on the news as Karen Reed's going in and out of court. This city's a mess, and there's something really wrong going on in the city, and we think she set up. Well, I mean, if the locals think possibly there's something, because maybe they have been affected some way, somehow in the past, it's interesting. It's interesting. And there was a police investigation after this whole incident because of how the investigation was handled. So there's questions. And how is that going to come up? And there's still one cop that was heavily involved in the first trial, whose name shall remain nameless on this podcast, that was heavily for the prosecution. That was one of the lead cops in the investigation. It's nowhere to be seen, and name really isn't mentioned too much in this court case. So, interesting. Is he going to be called? I would be shocked if the defense didn't call him, but I don't know. I haven't seen his name come up much, or haven't heard his name coming up as he's going to be a witness. He should, but I don't know. Maybe something happened that makes him completely unreliable, but I would think that the defense would want him to be unreliable. But I am just fascinated. So keep it going. I am watching. And again, her defense team, fascinating. And prosecution's doing a pretty good job too, but definitely something to be learned, and I'm definitely getting an education, that's for sure. Now that we are in the kickoff of the summer season, let's get into a little bit of shows, movies, and some entertainment. Little reality TV too. So If you go over to Apple Plus TV, there's been a new movie that came out. We have The Fountain of Youth. You've got John Krasinski, you have Natalie Portman. Nice action-packed movie. It's kind of like a hybrid between National Treasure, The Mummy. There's a nice history, there's action, there's a little bit of comedy, banter. It's good. I liked it. It's a nice family watch. And the graphics are pretty cool too, but enjoy the history behind it. I always like the history. So Fountain of Youth, Apple Plus, go enjoy the family watch. Now, if you go over to Amazon Prime, you hit a little bit of a plateau there for a while, but you are kicking back up. We have a series on Amazon Prime. It's called The Better Sister, and we have Elizabeth Banks and Jessica Biel. Good watch. It was a good watch. Definitely enjoy a complicated family history, and it is. Estranged sisters, Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks, no contact, and we come to find out why. Okay, it starts off Jessica Biel looks like she has this perfect New York City life, high profile, big wig, I'm going to say editor at a large magazine, and she has this perfect penthouse New York City lifestyle and second home in the Hamptons, the normal, and starts off exiting a party and comes home and finds her husband murdered. Upon the murder investigation, they have a son together, and the police have to notify her that we found out that the son is legally not yours, and we have to contact the legal guardian. Legal guardian being Jessica Biel's sister, Elizabeth Banks, who, come to find out, is the biological mother of this son that Jessica Biel is raising with her husband, who, by the way, is played by Corey Stoll, was originally Elizabeth Banks' husband. Elizabeth Banks' husband, who seems to be so charming, have it all, attorney, New York City, come to find out, douche, set her up, put her through misery. I mean, she was already a woman with addictions and substance abuse, but totally manipulated the situation, made it worse for her, took the child away, and manipulated Jessica Biel to file a protective order against her sister, thinking that she was protecting the son, and then somehow ended up in a romantic relationship with the ex, and then she married him, and just lied, covered it up, abandoned the sister, and the sisters have to come together to raise this boy who's gone through it, and, by the way, was originally thought to be, the police department thought that he was the one that actually could have murdered his son, put him on trial. He was not convicted, was found not guilty, and we eventually do find who the murderer was. But along the way of the investigation, them going through the court trial and still trying to find who the real murderer was, they found out a lot about this guy and the story and what this man did to each sister and together, and how he destroyed the family. That really took a lot of twists and turns. And again, I love a complicated family story, but this is a hot mess. And just, whoa. It's nice to see them come together, but man, see what one individual can do to a family, what one toxic person can create such chaos and destruction in a family. This can happen. And you hear about that stuff all the time, how, during crisis or where one sibling turns to the ex. I mean, let's not forget the whole Hunter Biden and his situation with his brother's widow. I mean, it happens more than you think. So, there can be a little truth behind that, but it was really good. It could have shaved off a few episodes. It went a little too long. I think they could have lost about 3 episodes, condensed it down a bit. But again, a good watch, good series. So Better Sisters, Amazon Prime. If you want to watch a good action movie, Amazon Prime has got another one on there. The Accountant 2 was just released. Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck, you've gone through a little bit of stuff lately with, a little down in love, a little having some time with some real estate. That was a tough one. Lost a little money on that last house. But you are still kicking in the action department. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed watching the kid geniuses that were just tech amazing. Is that really out there? Are there school? I mean, it was like the X-Men for hacking for children. It was a quick watch, a good action, and a decent story. So The Accountant 2. Is there going to be 3? I don't know. But Ben Affleck, you still look good and you're still kicking it in the action department. I like it. So now let's move over to our lovely world of reality TV. And I'm going to tiptoe into the world. Well, first of all, let's go to Peacock. Did you hear about Love Island USA? They premiered this past week. And when they tuned in at around 9 p.m., nobody could log on. The wheel just kept spinning. And it took about 45 minutes later. Adriana Maddox said, she released a statement saying, oops, you guys were so excited. You crashed the site. But yeah, so many people tuned in. They crashed the site to watch Love Island. Good for you, Adriana Maddox. You deserve it. Now that everything's happening with Vanderpump Rules, and their new reboot, it is nice to see you on your 2 feet and still killing it. Now, Summer House. Let's get over to Summer House. Summer House had reunion part 1 and 2. Not too much has happened, right? In episode 1, it was still a lot of the Lexi, Jesse, Sierra West. I'm over Sierra West story last season, done, over, bored with it. Now, Wes, nice, you can talk in. I'm okay with Wes, bring Wes back. Jesse, I'm okay with Jesse, bring Jesse back. But I am so sick of hearing about Jesse and Lexi. I don't think Lexi needs to come back. I think she has a pretty strong social media following. She's super cute. Young and fresh. I think she's probably going to be back, but I didn't really think she really contributed a lot to the storyline this season. And if anything, it kind of turned me off a bit. I like some of the old school. I came into Summer House late. I always talk about love Lindsay, love Paige, Amanda. I'm liking Amanda more. I always found her so annoying. Her and Kyle. I like that Amanda is feeling confident. I know she went through a rough patch, and it's nice to see her finding herself and standing strong. I like that. Kyle, I think your days are numbered. She seems quite annoyed with you, rightfully so. Your days and your high sperm count might be numbered, so brace yourself. Now, Gabby, what happened to Gabby? We didn't get much of Gabby this season. It's nice to see you on the couch. Let's see, who else? Paige and Lindsay. We didn't hear too much episode 1 about Paige and Lindsay, but I'm glad we got a lot this episode. Paige is pissed. Paige is pissed about the whole Craig breakup, but she set the record straight. Paige, I don't know who could have blamed you during the whole Craig breakup. We could see you had a foot out the door a while ago. You were believing all the hints. What if we break up? If I break up with you, you're dead to me. The hints were there. All the signs were there. And then you had that really heartfelt moment with you and Sierra saying, and the signs were there. You were going to break up with him. And you should. It was not a healthy relationship. Long distance relationships only go on for so long. And yours definitely ran its course. But it was on shaky ground for a long time. he didn't stand up for you in the end, and he was being very needy. And when you are flying high like that, you ride that kite until the sunset. Okay? And you are. Paige, it is so good to see you riding high. She's on tour. She's dropped some hints that something else is coming up. She has the Tresemme commercial. Girl, it's giving gloss. We've all seen it. So Paige, good for you. And yeah, Craig would have slowed you down. He would have made you put your heels in the ground and just slowly dragged you along, and definitely would have taken the wind out of your sails. I believe you, and I support you wholeheartedly in this decision. Rock it out, girl. Rock it out. But Paige, after the reunion, did announce that she's going to be stepping away from Summer House. She wanted to thank it the years that she's had on the show. It's been a great opportunity, but something else is in store for her. She hasn't said what yet, but she's leaving some hints that something big and better is around the next door. So go get it, Paige. We support you. And, with Paige exiting, here's the next question. Lindsay, what's happening with Lindsay? Lindsay in part 2 of the reunion was pretty open, I think. And again, that's what we like about Lindsay so much. But where are we going to go with Lindsay? We got a little into the story. She said quite openly that her and her boyfriend, Turner, have put a pause on the romantic relationship. It's a lot. It's a lot. She was like, look, we started dating. It was fast. I got pregnant quickly. He's extremely private. I'm very, public. That's a major issue. We live in two separate worlds. Molding them together is not easy. But what we can agree on is we have this beautiful baby and we are co-parenting well. And if you can figure that out quickly, you've mastered the most important thing, honestly. And it seems like they're working that out, and good for you. Lindsay's tough. She knows what she wants. She's driven. She's a type A personality. And I think that's why she's kind of badass, actually. So Lindsay, I support you. What's next for Lindsay? She can't be in this group party house with a baby. And, who wants to be the RA of these young kids? It's going to be a new wave of younger kids coming into this party house, right? We already had a couple this past season, Lexi. And what was the other girl that we only saw like once or twice? I forget her name. There's going to be more, there's an aging out. And here we are. When's Amanda and Kyle's time going to go? I think Kyle's going to stay as long as they can. They're going to have to kick him out. But I think Amanda's getting a little tired, and what's next? Maybe these three girls need to start something together. Maybe need Lindsay, Paige, and Amanda. That would be a great spinoff. I think it would be a really good one. What's next? These three high-powered girls rocking out the world, taking charge, conquering it together, but yet still coming together and supporting each other, and maybe a good girls' vacation along the way. I think it's great. And dating. Yeah, Paige is dating. Lindsay's dating. Are they going to be season 2 on the Love Hotel? Because I am thoroughly enjoying the Love Hotel. I love Luann, the Countess on the prowl. Luann on the prowl might be one of the greatest things to watch. She holds nothing back, and she goes in for the kiss, and she's not feeling, you crash, you burn, you're done. To the next one in line, darling. And that is why the Countess is the best ever. Ashley, she's still got daddy problems, daddy issues. And was it Ralph said something about daddy, and she was like, oh my God. When he said it, you could just see her melt like butter. And Ashley's friend was like, oh, he said daddy. And she's like, I love a daddy. We're like, oh, Ashley, we know. Do not continue that pattern of dysfunction. And speaking of continuing a pattern of crazy, Shannon, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Earl is not your guy. Earl is not for you. Get him out of there. You need another round. There's going to be another round of guys coming in. Wait for that boat of new bachelors. Wait. And Giselle doesn't care. She's not interested. She's there for the good food, fun, and friends, and some beautiful flowers everywhere. They're gorgeous. Love it. Giselle is not having it, and she's not interested. She's not interested in Phil. Phil is boring. She just wanted to know what type of money Phil has, and if she's out in LA or Bel Air, can she ride around in his Rolls Royce? Let's just say that's what she wants. And I'm okay with that. Get it, girl. But I'm loving the Love Hotel. But is that who we're going to have? Oh, are we preparing the next round for season 2? Maybe we are. Summer House. Lindsay, Paige, round 2, Summer House, Love Hotel. Love it. That's where they fuse together. They meet. And speaking of all our wonderful shows, we have a classic coming back. Yes. Season 7 of The Real Housewives of Miami is coming back. Yes. Will premiere on June 11th at 9 p.m. Alexis is coming back again with another problem. I love it so much. She's coming back. You know, every time we have a new season, Alexis is coming back. She had a couple seasons ago, she was Herman passed, her ex Herman passed, and she found out that he had a gay lover, and she met him. Okay. It's pretty good. Way to start off the season. The second time, after that, she was married to Todd. And all right, we saw the wedding. We saw all of that. Now she's divorcing Todd. Okay. It's every time we come back, Alexis gives us something. And I like it. And please, I mean no disrespect by her accent. I love her accent. You give me that accent of hers, her fiery personality, her bright colors that she's always wearing, and a great sunglass. I love it so much. And I love all the girls. That combination works. It is such a great mix of girls. I love it. Get muy caliente. I love it. So Real Housewives of Miami, it is coming back, season 7. Where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? Well, that's it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us on PoliWine. Please follow PoliWine on Instagram at PoliWineTime. And please listen to PoliWine wherever you get your podcast. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.